My friend, I want you to imagine this. You go to bed at night feeling completely normal, even thinking you've been taking pretty good care of your health, but the next morning you wake up and realize your hand won't move the way it used to. Your words come out broken. You look at the face of your spouse, yet you can't even say their name. No pain, no warning. That is what we call a silent stroke in your sleep. And sometimes the cause isn't smoking, sugar, or alcohol, but something that seems so harmless. A handful of nuts you ate before going to bed. Sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? I understand. For decades, we've been told nuts are superfoods, packed with nutrients, good for the heart, good for the brain. And that's true. But here's what I want you to remember. Food only acts like medicine when it's the right food, at the right time, and in the right amount. If the timing is wrong, even the healthiest food can quietly turn into a hidden danger. I remember a patient of mine a few years ago, Robert, age 68. He was always careful with his diet. Every day he had a handful of almonds and some walnuts. He believed he was investing in his brain health. But one morning, Robert couldn't finish a sentence. The left side of his body was paralyzed. His family rushed him to the ER. Thankfully, he survived, but he never regained the ability to write like before. And when I asked more deeply, it turned out that his small nightly habit, eating nuts before bed, had silently contributed to that stroke. You see, health at age 60 or 70 is not the same as at 30 or 40. Our bodies have entered a different stage. Blood vessels that were once flexible are now stiffer, more fragile. The heart, once strong and resilient, beats slower. The kidneys filter less efficiently. And the brain, our most precious organ, especially needs peace at night to clean itself, to heal, to repair. But that is exactly when, if we put the wrong things into our bodies, they can quietly stir up the bloodstream and turn a peaceful night's sleep into dangerous territory. So let me ask you, how many times have you grabbed a handful of nuts before bed, thinking it was harmless? Maybe while watching TV, snacking on salted cashews or pistachios, believing it was a healthier choice than cookies or chips. For younger bodies, that may not matter much. They're strong enough to handle it. But for us, those of us who have lived past half our lives, those harmless little moments can plant the seeds of a stroke while we sleep. One study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that excess selenium found in Brazil nuts increases the risk of blood clots, especially in older adults with other health conditions. You might be thinking, really? Just two little nuts can be dangerous? Yes. Just two Brazil nuts can give you 4 times the daily selenium you need. And if you eat them at night, when your liver and kidneys are already slowing down, that extra selenium isn't cleared out. Instead, it builds up, making your platelets sticky. While you're sleeping, your blood becomes like a traffic jam at rush hour. One small bump, a single clot, is enough to block the flow of blood to your brain. This isn't just theory, I've seen it too many times. Mary, age 72, once told me, "Doctor, I thought I was eating healthy. I didn't eat fatty meats, I didn't drink alcohol, I just had the habit of eating nuts before bed." But that very habit led to a mild stroke, leaving her to spend the rest of her life relearning how to speak, word by word. I share these stories not to scare you or to tell you to cut nuts out of your life completely. Not at all. Nuts are still a wonderful source of nutrition, but I want you to look at them with wisdom, because what matters is not only what you eat, but also when and how you eat it. Our bodies after the age of 60 are like an old house. The walls are still standing, the roof still covers, but the foundation has aged and the wooden beams have grown brittle. A strong gust of wind, or just a drop of water in the wrong place, could make the whole house tremble. That's why what we need is not to test it further, but to care for it with gentleness and wisdom. I want you to remember this. Nighttime is when the brain needs absolute peace. This is the moment it clears away neurological trash, restores memory, and repairs the damage of the day. If you give it that peace, an undisturbed night's sleep, free from excess fats, salt, or minerals, you'll wake in the morning with steady hands, a clear voice, and a memory still intact. That is the true meaning of living long. Not just adding years, but adding quality to every single day. So today I invite you to take a small journey with me, to look again at the nuts we all know: almonds, cashews, walnuts, sunflower seeds, and even the less obvious ones like Brazil nuts, to understand why they can become a double-edged sword if eaten at the wrong time. I won't speak to you with dry statistics, but with lived experience and real patient stories, so you can see more clearly that sometimes just one small change in your eating habits can mean the difference between a peaceful night's sleep and a morning that is never the same again. You see, not every nut is harmless, especially when eaten at night. So which ones can silently put your brain and heart at risk? In today's video, we'll go through 8 common nuts, from Brazil nuts, salted almonds, cashews, sunflower seeds, walnuts, peanuts, pistachios, all the way to mixed nuts that many believe are the more the better. You'll discover that just the wrong timing can turn even the most nutritious nut into a hidden danger. And we'll begin with one of the smallest nuts that carries one of the biggest risks: Brazil nuts is selenium overload. My friend, let me start with something that may sound hard to believe. Just 2 tiny Brazil nuts contain nearly 4 times the daily selenium your body needs. Selenium is essential, but like salt in a dish, just enough makes it tasty, too much turns it toxic. I remember one of my patients, Linda, age 71. She believed eating Brazil nuts at night was her secret to staying young. Every evening she would eat a few before bed, convinced she'd wake up stronger the next day. But after only a few months, she began experiencing headaches, dizziness, and unstable blood pressure. Then one morning she couldn't speak clearly. A silent stroke had struck. Science confirms this. Excess selenium makes platelets in your blood stickier, more likely to form tiny clots. Picture your blood as cars moving down a highway. At night, the traffic already slows, but selenium forces them into a pileup. And if that pileup happens inside a small vessel in your brain, the result is a stroke. What's even more concerning is that many people don't just eat Brazil nuts. They also take multivitamins, eat fish rich in selenium, all adding up. And after age 60, when the liver and kidneys filter more slowly, that excess builds up instead of being flushed out. So here's my simple advice. If you love Brazil nuts, enjoy them in the morning. Just one small nut. At that time, your body is strong and has the whole day to process it. But at night, let your brain rest peacefully without having to wrestle with a hidden overload. Salted almonds. Nighttime blood pressure. Spike. Have you ever sat in front of the TV at night, enjoying your favorite show while snacking on a handful of salted almonds? It seems harmless, maybe even healthier than cookies or chips. But I want you to pause and think. Just one handful, around 20 almonds, contains more than 200 milligrams of sodium. For a body over 60, that's enough to send your blood pressure soaring at midnight. I once treated Robert, age 66. He managed his blood sugar well, exercised regularly, but often experienced sudden spikes in blood pressure around 3 to 4 a.m. After digging deeper, the culprit was clear: his late-night habit of salted almonds. His body could no longer flush sodium as quickly as it did at age 30. Instead, it held onto water, increasing blood volume. At night, when the heart needed rest, his blood pressure was surging, putting crushing stress on arteries already stiffened with age. Think of your brain's fragile blood vessels as thin glass tubes. During the day, they can tolerate some fluctuation. But at night, when sodium draws in extra fluid, the sudden pressure surge can cause them to crack or leak, leading to clots or even hemorrhage. So what's the solution? If you enjoy almonds, choose plain raw ones. Better yet, soak them in water for a few hours before eating, and eat them during the day. At night, the greatest gift you can give your brain is not another handful of salt, but the peace it needs to rest and recover. Cashews, the oxalate burden. On the surface, cashews seem completely harmless. Soft, creamy, easy to snack on. They're often called a healthy treat. But here's something few people realize. Cashews are fairly high in oxalates, a natural compound that, once inside your body, binds with calcium to form tiny crystals. Imagine those crystals like sharp grains of sand traveling through your bloodstream. During the day, when your body is active and circulation is strong, some of them may wash away. But at night, when blood flow slows and your kidneys filter less efficiently, those grains begin to settle. They scrape against vessel walls, causing irritation and inflammation, making arteries that are already stiff with age even more fragile. This is one of the silent processes that thickens the blood, slows circulation, and increases the risk of clots forming while you sleep. I remember a patient, Eleanor, 69 years old. She loved butter-roasted cashews and told me she ate a handful every night to feel full before bed. Over time, she developed kidney stones, and tests showed her blood vessels were also beginning to show signs of plaque buildup. When we replaced her cashews with lower oxalate alternatives, like pumpkin seeds or macadamias, her condition improved noticeably. The message is clear: cashews aren't bad in themselves. But after age 60, eating them late at night and in large amounts is like scattering sand into pipes that are already brittle. If you love cashews, enjoy them sparingly in the daytime, and always with plenty of water to help flush those sand grains out of your system. At night, let your blood vessels rest in peace instead of forcing them to struggle. Sunflower seeds, hidden risk of brain bleeds. Sunflower seeds, tiny, crunchy, and fun to eat, are so addictive that many people call them the snack of joy. I know patients who tell me that every night they sit in front of the TV with a bowl of sunflower seeds, believing it's a harmless habit. But the truth is different. Most sunflower seeds are heavily salted. In fact, a small handful can be saltier than an entire bag of potato chips. On top of that, they're loaded with omega-6 fatty acids. Now, omega-6 isn't bad in itself, but when you get too much, especially in an older body, it fuels inflammation. And what happens when inflammation meets fragile, aging blood vessels? Think of the brain's capillaries as delicate glass tubes. Just a little extra pressure, and they can crack. I remember Margaret, age 65, who always carried a bag of sunflower seeds in her purse. It was her nightly ritual. Then one night she suffered a minor stroke. An MRI later revealed tiny brain hemorrhages, not enough to paralyze her, but enough to significantly affect her memory. The biggest danger with sunflower seeds isn't each tiny seed, it's how hard they are to stop eating. One handful becomes two, then three. Before you know it, you've blown past safe limits of salt and oils. So if you enjoy seeds, choose low-sodium varieties, or better yet, switch to soaked pumpkin seeds or chia seeds. Don't let something as small as a sunflower seed leave silent cracks in your brain. Walnuts, brain food that hurts the brain at the wrong time. Walnuts have long been called brain food, and it's true these nuts are rich in omega-3s and antioxidants, helping to boost memory and fight inflammation. I often encourage my patients to include walnuts in their breakfast or lunch. But the key lies in timing. During the day, walnuts are your friend. At night, they can quietly turn into your enemy. Picture this. When you eat walnuts in the evening, your body has to redirect a large amount of blood to your stomach to digest all that fat. Meanwhile, your brain, desperate for rest and repair, is left with less blood supply. That's not all. Digesting fat also triggers your body to release cortisol, the stress hormone. The result? You struggle to fall into deep sleep, or you toss and turn all night. And poor quality sleep lays the foundation for stroke, dementia, and a weakened immune system. I remember James, 70 years old, who swore by walnuts. Every night he ate a big handful, convinced he'd wake up sharper the next morning. In reality, he was constantly fatigued, and his short-term memory began to decline. Once he switched to eating walnuts at breakfast and cut back the portion, his sleep improved dramatically, and he woke up more refreshed and alert. So yes, walnuts truly are food for the brain, but only when eaten at the right time. Let the night be reserved for peace, not for a silent battle in your digestive system. Pistachios, nighttime blood, sugar trap. Pistachios, often called the smiling nut, have a reputation as a heart-friendly snack. They're high in protein, low in sugar, and fun to shell one by one. But for people over 60, especially those with pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes, pistachios at night can be a sweet little trap. Think about it. After a long day, your body's tired. Digestion slows and insulin becomes less effective. If you eat a handful of pistachios, then the carbs and protein in those nuts can spike your blood sugar. During the day, your body can burn off that extra energy. But at night, when you're lying still, your blood becomes stickier, thicker, an ideal environment for blood clots to form. I recall a patient of mine, Harold, 67 years old. He manages diabetes fairly well, but had a nightly habit of snacking on pistachios while watching late-night TV. After a few months, his morning blood sugar readings started climbing, and he noticed tingling in his hands and feet. Early warning signs of poor circulation to the brain. When he changed his routine, eating pistachios at lunch instead and drinking more water, his condition stabilized noticeably. Here's the point. Pistachios aren't bad, but at night, when your brain craves stillness, making your blood sweeter and stickier is like lighting a fuse. Enjoy pistachios for the smile they bring you in the daytime, not for the risks they plant in your sleep. Peanuts, the hidden burden of industrial oils. Peanuts are one of the most common, affordable, and protein-rich nuts around. The problem isn't with natural peanuts themselves, it's with how they're processed. Most of the peanuts you find in stores are roasted in cheap industrial oils, loaded with salt, sometimes even coated with artificial butter. That crispy, flavorful shell you enjoy is actually a heavy burden on your heart and brain, especially at night. Those low-quality oils are packed with trans fats, the silent culprits behind hardened arteries. Think of your blood vessels as old pipes in a house, already dry and brittle with age. Bad fats stick to the walls like grease in plumbing, slowly narrowing the passage. During the day, your body might adapt, but at night when blood pressure fluctuates, those greasy buildups can crack, triggering a clot. I remember David, 64 years old, who loved munching on butter-roasted peanuts while watching late-night baseball. He thought he was making a healthy protein choice instead of sweets. But before long, his cholesterol spiked, his bad fats piled up, and one night he was rushed to the ER with severe chest pain. It was a wake-up call. Not every food labeled healthy is safe once it's been industrially processed. So my advice is simple. If you love peanuts, choose dry roasted, unsalted, oil-free varieties and eat them during the day. At night, your heart and brain need lightness, not the burden of leftover oils. Mixed nuts. The more is better. Trap. Do you believe that the more nuts you eat, the healthier you'll be? Many people do. That's why at night they mix together almonds, cashews, walnuts, sunflower seeds, and snack on them like a Super Bowl of health. It sounds smart, but in reality, it's a perfect recipe for overload. Imagine this. In just one sitting, you're loading your body with selenium from Brazil nuts, oxalates from cashews, sodium from salted almonds, frying oils from peanuts, and excess omega-6 from sunflower seeds. Any one of these, in moderation and at the right time of day, might be fine. But combined, and especially eaten at night, your body after 60, with slower digestion, weaker kidneys, and less elastic arteries, is forced to process all of it at once. While you sleep, your blood thickens, your pressure rises, and those hidden burdens silently transform into clots or ruptures inside your brain. I remember Susan, 72 years old, who proudly called herself a healthy eater. Every night she fixed herself a large bowl of mixed nuts. Then one day she suffered a minor stroke. She was shocked. How could something so healthy betray her? The truth was that her good intentions, too much, too late, had become her silent enemy. The lesson here is clear. Health doesn't come from eating more. It comes from balance and from timing. After 60, wisdom lies not in adding, but in knowing when to stop. My dear friend, we've just walked together through a small but important journey, discovering how certain nuts, though seemingly harmless, can become silent threats when eaten at the wrong time. Brazil nuts with their excess selenium, salted almonds pushing blood pressure sky high, cashews leaving behind oxalate crystals, sunflower seeds that quietly invite bleeding, walnuts that nourish the brain by day but strain it at night, pistachios that thicken the blood sugar stream, peanuts roasted in industrial oils, and even that big bowl of mixed nuts many people believe is the healthiest choice. But this does not mean you should remove nuts completely from your life. Nuts remain one of nature's most precious gifts. It simply means that after 60, our bodies need more gentleness and wiser choices, smaller portions, eaten at the right time, so that the brain and heart can truly rest at night. I want you to remember this. Health is not only about what you eat, but also when and how much. In the morning and afternoon, enjoy the benefits of nuts. In the evening, give your brain the gift of peace. That is the greatest present you can give to your own health. One patient once told me, after surviving a minor stroke, "Doctor, if only I had known sooner, perhaps I could have kept my memory more intact." Those words still weigh on me, and they are the very reason I sit here today, sharing this message with you. If what I've shared makes you think twice about that late-night handful of nuts, then you've already given yourself a priceless gift. And if you found this video helpful, please share it with your friends and loved ones, because you just might help someone avoid waking up to a morning that will never be the same again. And don't forget, click the subscribe button right now. This channel is where I'll continue to bring you simple, heartfelt, and practical health wisdom for life after 50. Let's walk this path together so we can live not only longer, but healthier and sharper with each passing day.